At my grandfather's funeral, my father stood up beside the casket and told the room I had abandoned the family for money. If you've never been disowned in a chapel, I don't recommend it. It has a special kind of weight. Every cough sounds judgmental. Every hymn feels aimed at you. I was 34, 10 years into a career in another city, and according to my father, none of my success counted because I had not stayed home to help run his hardware store after my grandfather got sick. He left out the part where he told me not to come back unless I was ready to stop acting better than everyone. So when he pointed at me from the front pew and said, "Some people only return when they think there's a will involved," a few relatives actually nodded. I should have walked out. Instead I stayed, because my grandfather had been the only person in that family who ever called me just to ask if I had eaten. After the burial, we gathered in the church basement for coffee, cold sandwiches, and the real event, the reading of the estate letter my grandfather had apparently insisted be opened in front of everyone. My father stood near the pastor looking calm again, like he'd already won. My sister wouldn't look at me. My cousins hovered close to the dessert table pretending not to listen. The lawyer unfolded one page. Then another. Then he cleared his throat and said, "This isn't a standard asset distribution. It's an attached statement." He began reading my grandfather's words out loud that he wrote that he had watched his oldest son, my father, borrow money from him for years, promise repayment, and quietly transfer store inventory into a separate company no one else knew about. He wrote that the family business had been failing long before I left, and that blaming me for leaving was cowardice dressed up as tradition. He wrote that he had asked me to stay away the last 2 years not because I didn't care, but because he was trying to keep me out of the legal mess he knew was coming. Then came the part that changed the room. Every document, every ledger copy, every deed correction had already been filed with the lawyer months earlier. The store was insolvent. The hidden company was under investigation. And my grandfather's house, savings, and life insurance were not going to my father, they were left to me, with one instruction: sell the house, pay your aunt back first, and do not let your father touch a rupee. My father's face emptied. My aunt started crying because she'd never told anyone she'd loaned him money after her husband died. My sister sat down hard like her knees had given out. The pastor removed his glasses and just stared at the paper. My father called it a lie. Then the lawyer handed him copies with his own signatures on them. By the end of the week, the tax department had frozen the side company. By the end of the month, the hardware store closed. Half the family blamed me anyway, because truth rarely beats habit on the first round. I sold the house exactly like my grandfather asked. I paid my aunt back. I put the rest into a trust for my sister's kids. That my father still tells people I betrayed him at his own father's funeral. I don't correct him. A man who can turn a graveside into a performance usually doesn't need enemies. He just needs a microphone.